the same thing comes where it comes with, people will get phone calls saying that they're the precinct, they're the FBI, and all this stuff, and they'll try to, say, oh, we have somebody arrested and all, and we need payment to get them out of there. The police department will never ask for money, so just please, keep that in the back of your mind. And I'm gonna turn over the phone to Captain Rose.
Hello,
Hi, Captain Rose.
how you doing?
I'm okay, and yourself?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I apologize. I didn't hear most of what has gone on, so I'm kind of, like I said, I'm bouncing back and forth. I'm a little overbooked today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm not sure what Jeremy said.
Tires and rims.
Well, he's talking about the different scam going on, like Officer Wilburn from PSA 6 said. So it's about the same thing with a lot of scams during the holiday. Officer Wilburn, please send me the report.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I could say, Jeremy spoke about our tire and rim issue, which is
Right.
not unique to the 30th precinct or Community Board 9. That seems to be more of like a citywide type issue. But in any event, this time of year, I would say property crimes, personal property, shopping, things like that, packages, put a little extra care into securing that kind of stuff. If you know you're going to get a delivery, try and be home when it comes. Not leave the packages in the lobby if you don't have some way to secure it. But on the crime front in the 3-0, we look pretty good. Nothing, I like to talk about any kind of alarming trends or patterns that we see. And only alarming trend or pattern that we see right now is related to property crime. So not to say that it's great, but I'd rather that than, violence, shootings and things like that. So I think we haven't met with this committee since the incident on 145th Street. So just so everybody's aware, there was 2 apprehensions made on that shooting involving the 7-year-old girl. And so I also don't think that we were able to speak yet about the newly assigned officers to the 30th precinct at this forum. So we did receive 12 new police officers in the 30th precinct, and we were able to assign them all to foot posts. So I think that's something that the 30th precinct hasn't had in years. And it's something that's essential to making people feel safe and to also reduce crime through the presence of additional police officers on the street. So you'll see them predominantly on Broadway, between 135th Street and 138th Street. And you'll see them on 145th Street between St. Nicholas and Convent, which is 2 of the spots that I think, from my analysis, required the police presence the most. So that's really what's going on with us. We wish everybody a nice holiday and a happy new year. I don't think we meet again until the new year. And as everybody knows, I'm accessible through phone, email. If anything that you need, just reach out to us.
All right, Captain Rose, we'll meet in February. Meantime, have
Okay.
the students send me the report.
Did anybody
Ted
have
here?
I'm going to ask, is there any questions for Captain
Yeah, because I'm
Rose?
gonna have to jump to another meeting at 7.
Okay, not a problem.
So
are
if
there any
anybody
questions
has
right
any
away?
questions, I'd like to just take them now.
Right. Are there any questions for Captain Rose?
Yeah, Ted. Question: how do we stand vis-a-vis the rest of Manhattan and the rest of the city in terms of crime?
So we rank, out of 76 precincts, we rank about 54 in the city.
54 up or 54 down?
54 down means 53 precincts have seen more of a crime increase than the 30th precinct has year to date.
Okay.
Fine.
That's
any other questions for Captain Rose?
positive.
Yeah, Captain Rose, we've had, to the point of the rims and tire theft, we've had 3 thefts on Convent between 143rd and 145th.
Yes,
in the last 3 months.
We're aware of them.
You said car theft or bike theft?
It's rim and tire thefts.
It's vehicle accessory thefts. It's rims and tires. It's vehicle sensors for the more expensive cars that have those types of sensors. and it's, side view mirrors predominantly is what we're seeing taken from vehicles. Yeah, we're aware of them. We are deployed. It's very difficult to catch these people in the act. They are engaged in this for seconds, if not minutes, at getting these tires off. Short of sitting on a vehicle for the entire night, to apprehend somebody on this is very difficult. I can reassure you that we're working closely with our auto crime division. There's a long-term case citywide that is very close to conclusion, which will end with apprehensions made on multiple perpetrators emanating from the Bronx. So this is a much larger ring that we're seeing, and the reason that we're seeing the uptick here in Manhattan is because they're pushing out of the Bronx. We're seeing a little bit of their displacement because they've deployed so heavily in the Bronx, and through the course of their investigation, we're able to track where they're going. So we know that they are going back to the Bronx, and the Detective Bureau Auto Crime Division is going to, hopefully make an apprehension soon in regard to those.
Yeah, April Adams here. I live on Edgecombe, and I live on that same block where those rims were stolen, or that those tires were stolen. I think I went to the grocery store and I came back and they were gone.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
and that's a long time, right? So, and they're
Yeah.
doing it that these thieves, they're not, I don't want to say they're smarter than us, but they are doing it in areas where they're not getting caught on camera. They're not being seen. We see an uptick of it in the wintertime, especially because the noise, people have their windows closed. They don't hear it going on outside their building. All these things we've taken into consideration as reasons why we're seeing an increase of it now, and we didn't see it during the summer. When I got here last year, we saw a little uptick in these crimes too, specifically in the winter months, and then it went away. We were able to make apprehensions on that last year, and I think it's going to play out the same way this year. What I would say, and I think maybe Jeremy might have touched on it, is the wheel locks. The wheel locks really help because it's one of those things where if they have to fight with a wheel lock, they're going to move on to the next vehicle. Not to say that we want the next person to be victimized, but at least for your own self-preservation, it won't be you.
Right.
Mary
other
DeBard
questions for
has
that?
her, yeah, Mary DeBard has her hand up.
Thank you, April. Hi, I'm Mary DeBard. I live on Edgecombe as well. I frequently ride in between 125th and 145th on my bike. And I was wondering if the additional foot presence on 145th might be able to help with the frequent disrespect of the law of parking in the bike lane, especially between 141st to 145th, because it's, the buses are having to drive in the median. It's unsafe for bike riders. Yeah.
Absolutely. So part of our plan with those officers that are on foot there is to have them actively engaged in traffic enforcement, and included in that traffic enforcement would be both double parking enforcement, bike lane enforcement. So yeah, I think you'll see an improvement there with that.
Great. That's good to know. Is there anything, as someone who files like 311 tickets, do they need to be sent in like as soon as possible, or is it enough to have the photo of of when it happened?
No, listen, 311 complaints, and for those that have heard me, speak in these types of meetings before, know that we respond very well to photos. This generation with the phone, if you send a photo with the 311 job, it goes a long way. It's more of a real-time information. It's more of real-time information for us in the photo. Not to say that the other ones would get overlooked, but the photo kind of makes it stand out a little bit. The way we get these jobs, we get them as a push notification to our department phone. So like anything else, right? If it pops up as a picture and it's visible and we get there and we can match the car up exactly where it is, it's much easier to take enforcement that way.
Got it. That's good to know.
Captain
Thank
Rose?
you.
Yes.
You know that buses are taking pictures.
Yeah, so that's something that the MTA has to figure out. This has been an ongoing complaint, consistent through a couple of meetings that I've been to recently. There's like this bus camera that's taking the photographs of the license plates that are double parked. We don't have any control over it. I'm trying to work with the MTA to figure out if there's some way. We've seen an issue, especially on Sundays, with the churches and the people that are parking and going into church services, religious services, and they're coming out and they're getting tickets, which is not how we operate, right? So the human factor is taken out of it because these tickets are AI generated by the bus.
So maybe I'll have them come to the February meeting.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, if you look it up in the news, you'll see there's articles about it. It's an issue because it's AI to take the human. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you have a human doing it, there's discretion involved, right? And when you have AI generating the tickets, it's basically taking them without that discretion, and sometimes you need it. So they have to figure out a way to kind of mitigate that so that it's not an all or nothing type scenario, because people are getting issued summonses that don't deserve them.
Okay, I'll invite them for the February meeting.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Captain Rose?
Let's a couple questions in the audience and then two on the online, Carolyn.
I
have a question.
Who's got their hand up?
Juan Colmenares.
All right, Juan, Juan, what's your
I
question?
live on 149th and Convent, and there's double parking on a two-way avenue. From 148 to 150.
On what avenue?
Wait.
Convent.
I reported it to 311 several times, dozens of times. And it's always the same. They bring cars, police cars, and they get in front of that line. And now everybody has one lane to go two ways. Now they're starting to double park on the opposite side. Before they were going on the downtown side and they would double park there to do their religious, to pray, right?
Right,
I called 311 about the certificate of occupancy for that mosque, and there's not such a thing because the landlord never applied, never certified anything. He just gave it. We understand each other. So there are times where things that we do to help people are actually very dangerous for the whole community. I don't know if you ever walked through Convent Avenue on 148 or 149, and you can walk. You can even take a car, or you can even take a taxi to your house because there's no way to stop. Because if you stop in the middle of that, you're stopping the whole traffic. And again, the 30th precinct doesn't respond to calls. I've called them many times. I've talked to the officers who come there, and they're very generous and kind, but nothing gets done. By now, it's decades of this. My landlord, his name is Jack Atias. He's one of the worst landlords in the city.
No, it's not. Captain Rose.
He was the worst landlord in 2018. You can look it up. Jack Atias.
Yeah,
Captain Rose. Captain Rose.
I have my hand raised.
Yeah.
Patricia Caldwell.
Okay, I see you, Felipe. Just wait 1 second, okay?
Captain
Rose, did he say green cars?
I don't know. I heard something about double parking at the mosque.
Right. But if it's green cars, he's talking about cabs.
See what?
That's green. I think he said green cars. That's cabs.
Yeah, what you get it.
That's taxi cabs.
Listen. I heard there was a lot of information given in that gentleman's statement. I will address the issue with the parking there. We'll try to find some amicable resolution with the mosque. As in terms of the certificate of occupancy for the building, that's something that the buildings department is going to have to deal with. And in terms of the land, and in terms what?
They don't answer.
All right,
One person at a time.
I'm the precinct commander. I'm trying to answer these questions in the most efficient way possible. I do have to jump to another meeting at 7 o'clock. I'm trying to be respectful of everybody else's time. So I'm trying to answer the question in the most efficient way possible. Department of Buildings is responsible for the certificate of occupancy, and Department of Housing and Social Services would be something that you could take up in landlord-tenant court with your landlord. As far as the officers responding to the 311 complaints for the parking, I will make sure it becomes a priority, and we'll work with the mosque to mitigate that. Next question, please.
I would like to address the issue of double parking in front of churches on Sunday. My name is Patricia Caldwell, and I'm clergy.
Okay, Patricia, hold on 1 second. Felipe had his hands up.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Felipe.
It's very quick. On November 2nd at around like 11 p.m. at St. Nicholas Avenue and 155th Street, a cyclist lost their life after being struck by a minivan. I just wanted to ask P.O. Rose if you had any apprehension of the suspect, or if there's any leads, or
whether this van may or may not be like still out, driving around.
Hey, how's it going, Officer Stumer? If you leave your information in the chat, I can definitely look up the case for you. I don't have that case in front of me, all the pertinent information.
It
But
was,
it's
like,
not
no
something that we can
traffic
discuss in this
fatality.
forum.
Yeah,
It's literally a murder.
it's a traffic fatality at least, right? If not something worse. And I just have there been any apprehensions for that? It could be no, that's fine, just curious.
Yeah, well, we said if you leave your information in the chat, I can happily take this offline and get you a little more information.
Okay, I'll ask you later offline then.
Right, last question, Patricia.
See, I have to pick and choose. Okay, I'm going to address the being clergy, and I was at a meeting at Convent Avenue Baptist Church where they spoke about how these buses were ticketing double parked cars during Sabbath services, weddings, and funerals. Usually in our neighborhood for the last 80 years or so, we have been we've had an agreement, or we all would go to the local precincts and be given a certain time that while we were in session, that we were allowed to be double parked as long as we were not blocking a bus. Could you speak to that? Have they met with you on has MTA met with you concerning that?
No. I'm inviting them for the February meeting, Patricia.
February. But what about the tickets? They gave 400 tickets out in 1 week
I have
to the
speak
people
them
at the
about
churches of Harlem. Yeah.
They're gonna have to be thrown out.
That has to be spoken to. I haven't heard anything about that, but I have to speak to
Yeah, they're all
MTA.
Morning Star.
And we met with the United
They can
Mission.
be,
We
like,
met with
dismissed. They're not.
It was the meeting that was at Convent Avenue Baptist Church
They've
2
already
weeks
been
ago was over 400 people in attendance with tickets in their hand. And that
Can
does
speak
not
on that?
include the clergy.
Can I speak on that? Because I know nothing about it. I can reach out to MTA and find out
Okay.
what's going on.
Carolyn, we
About
have a
these
lot of,
tickets.
if we're done with that question, we have a lot of hands raised in the audience.
Okay.
My hand has been up. This is Heather. I just want to ask for increased patrol around the West 147th Street, St. Nicholas Avenue corner.
Okay.
They're the ABCD train station, the west corner of West 147th Street. There's quite a lot of activity there. And then as your patrol officers are on the street, if they could please pay close attention to the cars that are parked in the sidewalks as well as in front of the fire hydrants, especially on the corner, the northwest corner of West 147th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. And the primary cars that seem to park there continuously are cars with police officer medallions in them.
Well, Heather, they are going now, so I'll send that to Captain Rose.
I see Stumer is still on. Thank you.
No, he's
Yes.
on, but he's not. They're going to another meeting. But I'll see that he gets it, okay?
We'll send that down to our transit guys. They've been very
sure?
strict
Okay.
with parking over there, so I'll make sure they get that information.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
Okay,
so.
Ira, we'll go first.
Ira Gershon-Horn, I volunteer at Jenny's Garden.
Whose hand is up?
Ira
Gershon-Horn.
Ira. Who's Ira?
Gershon-Horn. He works with Jenny's Garden.
Okay, go ahead.
So last night, I was riding my bicycle back from a meeting here, and I got hit by a car. And once I asked the guy's insurance, he drove off. So my question is, how does your precinct deal with uninsured motorists?
Where was this at?
Where
It wasn't
Where was this at?
in this precinct.
He said it wasn't in this
But, you
precinct.
know, people can drive.
It wasn't where?
He said it wasn't in this precinct, but he's asking Officer Stumer how the NYPD handles uninsured motorists.
It wasn't in the 3-0?
Miss Thompson, I can answer it. Miss Thompson, I got it.
Go ahead, Officer Stumer, go ahead.
I can tell you we have zero tolerance for any driver driving a vehicle with an unregistered or uninsured vehicle. It is our policy that if officers conduct a traffic stop on a car that is uninsured or unregistered, that car is not permitted to leave that scene with a driver in it, and it must go either in a tow truck or it can actually be confiscated by the NYPD. We see this a lot more with like, you know, what we refer to as ghost cars, where it's cars with temporary license plates that are driving around and using, in you know, a fake plate. You know, it's the same for that too. If that happens, officers are instructed that there's zero tolerance. These cars are not safe to be driven on the roadways, and you know they're not permitted. So what we'll do is, you know, if they see the car, as well as the license plate readers, will alert officers saying, "Hey, this car is driving with a suspended license or a lapsed insurance."
Thank you.
Any other question, April?
Two more, yeah.
Hi, my name's Allegra Legrand, and I just want to give a counterpoint to this discretion. Part of the reason that New York City wants to implement more automated enforcement is because there's less racial bias and other kinds of bias in how the tickets are issued. So I think that is a feature that is positive about the enforcement that we should not want to get rid of. And if there's a need for churches to have a few parking spaces, they should approach it like the schools do, where there is no street parking, so they have the few parking spaces that they need for those that are disabled and for their direct clergy. Other folks who go to that church, although I have empathy for you
They have
and
no
traveling
parking
there,
signs for
I
churches.
have to say, my dead body getting hit by a car because there's no visibility because of double and triple parking does not care. I think that we should make the streets safe, and that too much discretion in issuing tickets is a problematic feature of not having automated enforcement. And I just wanted to offer that counterpoint. If it were the intent of the law that people got to go to church on Sunday and park, it would be arbitrarily simple to alter the AI algorithm to not issue tickets at that time or at those locations. They
That's an
intentionally did not
MTA issue.
include that.
That's an
And where do you
MTA
stop?
issue.
Is it the mosques, the people who go to the mosques 4 or 5 times a day? Is it people who are at Sabbath on Saturday? Is it the churches on Sunday? If you want to have those parking spaces, do it like the schools and get the part in front of your building so that you have the spaces that you actually need, and everyone else should carpool and or walk, commute, bike, subway, bus.
Thank you.
Let's move on.
Last question, Carolyn. I think that was just a statement, not a question.
Okay. No more questions? Okay.
No, one more. Go ahead.
I just have a request / question.
Who's
Like,
raised
what is
their
it
hand?
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Gabriel Zainun. I live up the street. I was just wondering what it'll take to have the police cars move so that they don't block the bike lane and the sidewalk on St. Nick below 145th Street. It just sets a terrible precedent for the rest of those cars. I know it's supposed to save space, like it looks like that, but people just end up like parking right in front of them anyway into the bike lane. And it's just more barriers for us to get a protected bike lane on there. So in the meantime, the simplest request is, and how long will it take to simply move the direction of the police vehicles to be parallel parked?
Well, that's not going to happen with parallel parking. DOT frowns on parallel parking. Right now, there's a big issue with the police cars moving from one side of 145th to take resident parking. We're fighting to say that we're not going to take parking away from the resident for police cars. So that's an issue that's ongoing. But as far as angle parking, that's not going to happen because they don't like angle parking. We've been fighting for years and they don't like it. So yeah, this request has been put in. I've been there a long time and I've known about at least 15 years. They are not going to do it. But right now, the bigger issue with the police cars, corrections for 145th and St. Nicholas on the other side of the street want to move parking for the police cars to take away from the residents, as I first said, and we're fighting it. So this is an ongoing issue. Okay.
Yeah, just to give you some context, that there was a task force created between different city agencies.
Yes, they did.
And our chair is part of that task force.
Part of the problem on
To address the issues on the corridor of 145th Street.
Right. Part of the issue on the corridor is the fact that the DOT with the way the structure is, the way they have it set up was one lane down, one lane up. That street years ago was 2 up and 2 down. We don't know who put it in. Board 9 didn't put it in, and all of a sudden you got 1 lane down and 1 lane up. We have objected to that. We requested the lanes be put back. That takes a long time. That people say we want more lanes. Say we're not taking out any more lanes. No more lanes are going to be taken out because all you're doing is making more traffic. That's all it is making more traffic by removing the lane. So this way
But if
here,
you had a protected bike lane, then those people would take an alternate route that's safer, and then they wouldn't have to get in their cars and there'd be less traffic.
hello.
Yeah, it sounds like the cars cause
Call back on a
traffic.
meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it's a further discussion to go on.
Yeah, my understanding is a lot of the officers that park in that corridor or, you know, they're
Right.
illegally parked. The reason they're parked there is because they're part of transit division. And transit division is different than like a precinct where precinct has designated parking for officers.
Well,
Transit
no,
division,
they're just like any
they're
other,
down.
right? They're just like any other precinct. There is never been police parking for any precinct, never, because there's no parking. You know, we have tried for 26, we tried for the 30, we tried for the 33. There's never been enough parking for police. So now after the pandemic, all the parking got worse. Okay, District 3, which is transit, we've been fighting with them forever with the bus parking their cars in the lane, parking their vans in the bus stop. We've been fighting. We've gotten a little bit better, but there's a whole lot of more work to be done. We meet with the captain every month. I'm meeting with them. We tell them still got more work to do. But you
I think
cannot park in the bus
Gretchen has
stop.
a comment.
I would just like to make a point of order about interruptions.
No, can we move on? If we had Officer Condanas from the 26th precinct.
I don't know if my point of order needs to be acknowledged, but I would really like, we're having
With
a lot of
all
interruptions.
due respect, that's not a point of order.
It's not.
Okay, I don't know what the parliamentary procedure is, but I know that interruptions are not a part of it, and so people are trying to speak and they're being interrupted.
Officer Condanas, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi,
Okay.
good.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Much better, thank you.
Good to hear. So I want to briefly give our year-to-date for the period of November 4th to December 1st. And I'll start with 2023. So in 2023, we had for this year, the year-to-date just mentioned 0 versus 1 for this year. Rape, we were tied 9 versus 9. Okay, and for robbery, we're down this year 140 and we're down to 118 this year. With the felony assaults, last year was 169 versus 166 this year. The burglaries, last year 88 versus this year 77. Grand larceny, 363 for last year versus 324 for this year. The grand larceny autos, we were 100 versus 41 for this year.
Any questions for Officer Condanas?
We have a question in the audience, Cameron.
Officer Condanas, can you send me that?
I will, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We have a question, Carolyn. Allegra?
Thank you so much.
Okay, go ahead, Ira.
I was wondering if it's possible at these monthly meetings to also read out loud the statistics for the moving violation 104 AN, the fatalities involving cars broken down by what kind of vehicle caused the fatality, the number of serious injuries caused by cars, and the number of injuries in general. If
No,
those
we
could
have
be
to ask
also
the police
read
department for
as an
that.
addition to the monthly comp stat, because the number of injuries
Oh, God,
and
please give us
fatalities
that.
in the neighborhood are of the same order as the comp stats that you just read out.
We can ask the police department to send that to us.
Correct. So unfortunately, I will not be able to condense all what you just mentioned into something that I would be able to produce for this monthly meeting that we do, but it is available online.
Exactly, right.
But you
Thanks,
can-
Officer Cardenas. Next question. Okay.
Sorry if someone was raising their hand. This is Mary again. I just wanted to second. I think it would be, even if all of those stats can't be given, it would be great just to know how many deaths or injuries have been caused by car accidents.
We've done that before, Mary. We've done it
Okay, yeah.
before.
Oh, yeah. This is my first meeting, but I think that
Yeah,
would be. I would
we've
be
done it
interested in
before.
hearing that monthly.
Right. But each officer, like Officer Cadena said, she cannot condense that right now, but we can get it at a later
Totally.
date. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have it, but yeah, we've done that in the past, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Next up, Lyle Black with DOT. Thanks, Officer Cadenas. Lyle?
I'm here, Carolyn. Evening, everyone. Just have one quick thing to mention. DOT Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez today announced the launch of a new billboard design competition among city high school students to promote work zone safety. But we're working here. Work zone safety billboard design competition invites New York City high school students from grades 9 through 12 to develop creative public service announcements that remind the public to slow down and take caution in work zones. Each year, over 900.
Is this a contest, Lyle?
Yes.
Okay.
For high school students.
Okay.
Each year, over 900 people lose their lives and an estimated 42,000 are injured in work zone incidents across the country. This competition encourages the next generation of drivers and all roadway users to think through ways to change dangerous behaviors and prevent work zone intrusions that can lead to injuries and fatalities for both the public and work crews. The first place winning design will be debuted on a billboard as part of New York City's recognition of National Work Zone Awareness Week in April of next year. Students have a chance to hone their graphic design skills and creativity, be a part of a professional level media campaign, and win a cash prize for their schools. The first place winner will receive $1,000. Second place will receive $750. Third place will receive $500 for the student's respective school. Winners will be announced in the spring of 2025. Final submissions from students are due on Friday, January 17th. And New Yorkers, for more information, can visit the website nyc.gov/work zone safety for more information. Just wanted to touch real quick on some of the old business. I see the Sherry Walk detour request has been there. I know that the last meeting was mentioned that the Parks Department is in charge of the Cherry Walk detour. So any requests for such detours would have to go through them. As a follow-up for the 145th Street and St. Nicholas corridor in the task force, there are no new updates as of now in regards to the parking request by Transit District 3. Just to advise, the signage that is there is updated and does indicate that there's authorized parking for police vehicles. That's for the Transit District 3 officers downstairs in the 145th Street train station. That is for parallel parking, not for angled parking. The cars that are there currently that are back in angled parking on St. Nicholas and 145th should not be, theoretically. Those should be parallel. And as we know, double parking citywide is illegal. So if there's any double parking that's taking place on the east side, ideally that should not be taking place either. As information comes in regards to the TD3 request, another request that we've received, we'll pass it along. But just wanted to clarify that in regards to any angled parking that you see, that's officially not authorized by DOT. We did have a walkthrough of that area a few weeks ago. As mentioned, with different city agencies, DOT, several of the precincts, local residents and others, just to have the conversation on site, basically to discuss this issue. So far there seems to have been some progress, at least as far as TD3, adhering to some of the neighborhood concerns. Hopefully that does continue. But as of now, no updates as far as the official requests for their parking swaps or expansions. But again, as information comes in, the community board and others will be notified as necessary.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Lyle?
Yes, Ted.
Yeah, Ted, go ahead.
Lyle, as you know, I have asked you about the whole business of angle parking on 120th between Riverside and Broadway. And we have been put off by this and that excuse. I am wondering where we are getting with this.
Nowhere.
Nowhere is not a satisfactory answer.
No, Ted, I understand. I understand you completely. I'm just saying what it is. Nowhere.
Well, I want to hear from Lyle, because if that's the case, I'm going to have to go further up the line.
I know we've had many conversations about this. I mean, as of now, DOT won't be doing any angle parking on 120th between Broadway and Riverside. I know we spoke about it at previous meetings. But basically the criteria for angle parking is a little bit different in regards to how DOT looks at it. So the old criteria no longer applies when it comes to angle parking. ADA compliance has to be something that needs to be taken into account, among other factors. So as angled parking previously was, at least under review with DOT, it is no longer. So we can't do angled parking on 120th in that stretch for now. But again, if we have to have another conversation, we can. But I know that we've mentioned a couple of times that as of now, there's not much we can do as far as that request along that corridor.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to start working again with the various politicians.
Okay. Any other questions for Lyle?
I think Juan had a question.
I just wanna
Yes,
know.
Juan.
I just wanna know who has jurisdiction on the streets inside parks. They're not streets, they're roadways inside the park, like if you go to Riverside Park and you go by the edge. The Riverside Park by the edge of the river. There are these streets that bikers use and runners use, and it can get really scary sometimes with the bikers that go on these really expensive bikes, 100 miles per hour.
Ride their bikes over there.
I'm sorry. I mean, you can see ladies with the strollers trying to negotiate space with these bikers that don't really care. I mean, you have Riverside Drive where you can do your biking all you want.
Well, no, they drive there because it's safer, Juan. And the bicycle, they out there every day.
Just
It
let me
does
finish
not
this.
impact
Let
on
him
the
finish his
strollers.
comment.
Yeah, it doesn't
Just let me
impact
finish
on the
this.
strollers.
Okay, let me finish this. So you only don't have those, you also have the bikers and the electric bikes that want to use those lanes, but also want to go on the green grass. And I've spoken to Solomon before, and he said that there's no signage on that side of the park. And that's a point well taken. But in addition to that, if you're running and somebody comes up the hill on like 160 something, and they hit you from behind, it's not about signage, it's about somebody being there and putting the lights on so that bikers know where to go, you know? Because there's a lot of mountain bikers who think that, oh, I'm gonna use all these those
Nobody.
green areas and make trails out of them.
Okay.
So just heads up.
Yeah, okay, move on.
So did you hear his question, Lyle? Is
Any
those
other questions?
pathways, are they in the jurisdiction of parks or is that DOT?
That's
It's just,
parks. That's parks.
yeah, just to,
In
that's inside the
Pennsylvania,
park, right?
that strip over there where they ride the bikes. Every morning they're out there. They jog. They ride the bikes. Parents out there with the strollers. People walk their dog. It's not affecting anybody over there. Okay. Plus the fact you got workers over there doing work in the second parking lot. There's a lot of work that they do, which is closed off to the public. Okay. So it's not impacting any runners or mothers. There's not that many mothers out there during the day in the cold, but the bikers do ride that park all day. And then you have cars that up there which are the work. Well, moving
Yeah,
on.
that would be under parks jurisdiction. It sounds like if
Exactly.
it's the I'm thinking of. So I would reach out to the Parks Department to put that on their radar. And also as far as signage, they can follow up on their end in regards to that too.
Right. Okay, moving. Oh, any old business? Terry Walk?
Oh, we have a couple more questions, and we can also mention that, Juan, in our Parks Committee meetings.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
Tell me when it is in Asheville.
it's the day before this one, so,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
What happened?
I was telling Juan, we'll bring it up in the Parks Committee meeting, Carolyn.
Well, yeah, he'll have to because, like I said, we don't have anything to do with, but they're not going to change that rule. I can tell you that right now.
We have two more questions,
Yeah, oh, Gabriel, I
I'm
was
gonna move
wondering.
this meeting at 7:30. I want to be finished by 8.
okay?
What's the next question?
I have a
Who's the question for?
Go ahead. Who's the question for Lyle, right?
So I have a question for Lyle. And I was wondering, like, there's been obviously a fatality that someone was killed by a car
Oh, God.
and on 155th and St. Nicholas. And as someone who gets around by bike myself, I'm wondering, what will it take to get main arterial roads like Amsterdam, St. Nick, or even a very temporary, like for people displaced like me by the Riverside, what would it take to get a Riverside Drive protected bike lane? Like, what is it gonna take to simply?
On what
move
side of the
over-
street of 155th Street? You're crossing on the other side of 155th Street. That belongs to the 3-3 precinct.
I use both sides. I use all the sides.
Oh, I think you're talking about where the accident was, but specifically.
Was it on the?
It was at the intersection.
It was at the intersection, but my question for Lyle is, what is it gonna take is there even a way to get a protected bike lane? For example, just low hanging fruit here. All the people displaced by having to go on Riverside Drive, it's very dangerous. What will it take to just move over the parking? I mean, there's 2 lanes for cars to drive on and there's like parallel parking. Can you guys just move over the parallel parking to 1 lane and give us a lane for bikes? Or even on Amsterdam. Yeah, most vehicles don't.
Next question.
Oh, no,
Lyle
Lyle,
gets to answer this
Right.
question.
He's
Lyle?
asking Lyle a question in terms of what the process is.
Well, anyone can reach out to DOT through the website, through me, or through the community board in order to request DOT conduct a study anywhere in the city. So if there are certain locations that you'd like DOT to research, that you feel a bike lane might be warranted, that'd be the first place I would start. There are certain criteria that DOT would look at in regards to protected bike lanes in particular. Certain locations, a lot of it has to do with the street width and the geometry of the street. Certain corridors might be more eligible for a protected bike lane than others. There might be certain corridors where we can put a shared bike lane, whereas where you see the shadows and little carrots on the streets. And others might have standard bike lanes that might be necessary or possible. But as of now, I don't think we have anything in the works as far as any proposals for CB9. Not to say that wouldn't be subject to change sometime in the near future. But again, I would say if there's certain corridors anywhere in the city that you'd like DOT to research, you can reach out to us through the website, nyc.gov/DOT. There's a tab where you can contact DOT, which leads to a drop-down menu, and you can make a request directly to the agency to conduct the study. That request would go to our bicycle unit for their review and follow-up, and you will get a response from the agency one way or the other.
Thank you, Lyle.
Can I ask a follow-up question for Lyle?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
What would be the justification for
Who
putting,
has the follow-up question?
Cheryl or
The same gentleman, Gabriel.
what would be the
Okay, go ahead.
justification for putting just another bike lane, like unprotected or
We need
shared
more
bike
bike
lane, like
lanes.
in Amsterdam, like on Amsterdam, for example, right? Or one of those over protected bike lane, when those bike lanes are like playing Russian roulette with your life, when the car doors can open at any second. Like, it's really not a protected bike. It's not a bike lane if it's not protected, because we're literally playing with our lives.
Understandable, but we also have to take account enforcement. We can put the lane markings down, we can put the signage up, but all residents have to work together in order to ensure that we all get around safely. And B enforcement is a big factor as far as double parking and cars parking where they shouldn't. The way
It's
that
not
we
about double parking, it's about where they park where
Let's
they
move
should.
on.
It's just inherently flawed, because when people parallel park, where they're supposed to, if they exit their door, right, that's how you get out of a car, then you're putting us at risk. The only way to have an actual bike lane is for it to be completely protected with a buffer area
Doesn't matter.
that allows for the width of a door to swing open.
Move on.
What is the justification for putting our lives at risk?
I don't know if he can answer that, unfortunately, but,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
have a question. Sorry, go ahead, Lyle.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, that warrants a larger conversation. I would just say, like I said, the main criteria when it comes to protected bike lanes in particular, ideally would be street width. Also, keep in mind that, we look at things holistically as far as what a protected bike lane would do to other vehicles, as far as parking loss or any other street geometry that we have to factor in. So it's it's not cut and dry as far as, just, say put a Jersey barrier everywhere and, put a protected bike lane. There are certain criteria. Like I said, street width is pretty much the main ones, but, as we take, an overall approach, granted, yes, we are an agency that promotes safety first and foremost, bike safety and vehicular safety. But I would say, like I said, street width first and foremost would be the main factor. A corridor like Amsterdam or St. Nick, I wouldn't say would be eligible for a protected bike lane at this time based on the street geometry. Again, not to say that wouldn't change in the near future, but there might be other better candidates for protected bike lanes.
What about
Again,
Broadway? I mean, that is literally, it's in the name, Broadway. It definitely qualifies. I've looked over many times the street width. I've literally calculated myself. There's definitely space for
Is this,
moving.
April, is this from still Gabriel?
Yeah, I think we'll have to move on, because we have a
Yeah,
couple
we
more
are gonna
questions, but
move
thank
on.
you.
Yeah, we are gonna move on.
Yeah, and I have one question for Lyle, just, checking in, and Mary seems to have a question, and I think there's another question here, but Lyle, is there any update on the street lamps, in St. Nicholas Park near the dog run? Checking in about that. There's some street lamps, I think a tree fell and a couple of street lights went out or something, so it's really dark on that upper path.
If you could give me the exact location, I can reach out to my colleagues in our street lighting division to see if they have any updates. April, you have my contact information. If you know where it is, just let me know, and I can reach out and get you some updates.
Okay, I'll email you. Okay, there's Mary, and then we have one more in the, two more, and then we're done.
Oh,
And
no,
we gotta move on.
we're moving on. Go ahead, Mary.
We're done? Okay. Mary? Is Mary gone?
Sorry, no, I was here, but I was muted. Thank you. So Lyle, thank you for speaking with us. I live on Edgecombe and 150th, and about a year ago, I submitted a 311 request to have the crosswalk across the two St. Nick's on 150th to be reviewed for its timing. I walk at like an average, maybe kind of fast speed, and if I'm crossing over, I can barely make it. This intersection is particularly dangerous because 155th is where, of course, the highway comes. I've seen multiple cars in the past year just run red lights rampantly in that area. But that crosswalk, it's also right by a women and children shelter. There's a lot of elderly people in the community. So I really think that crosswalk should be re-examined to lengthen the time for people to cross safely. I know that the DOT looked into it and they came back and they said it's technically within standards. And I understand there is a park in between the crossing of the two St. Nick's, but most people who are crossing are going across both of them. And it's just not safe for that sort of scenario. So I was wondering if there was any ability to look into that and maybe, lengthen the time.
Mary?
Yes.
Here's a little piece of advice. On 146th Street and Broadway, the countdown clock is 24 seconds. At 145th and Broadway, it's 14. Now, what does that tell you? And we did the same thing and said it's within the reason of the countdown. Now, 145th and Broadway is a wide street, and it's 14 seconds, which makes no sense to me.
We can take a look at the signal timing at both locations if you like. If you want us to look at 145th and Broadway, we can to see if the signal timing changes are warranted to increase the travel times for pedestrians. And just to verify, the other location is Edgecombe 150th.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Edgecombe and 150th, and then Carolyn, I would second that. What you're saying at 145th and Broadway, it's too short.
No problem. So yeah, we have our intersection control unit as to division within DOT that looks at all the signals citywide, as well as the signal timing, that sort of thing. So I can pass these locations along for review and get back to the community board with updates as they come in. No problem.
I would appreciate it because I've been fighting for this for years.
Yeah.
All right, can we
Thank you
move
very
on?
much.
No problem. No problem.
The last question.
We have two, but go ahead, just.
So I was kind of curious. I looked up where are protected bike lanes in New York.
Oh, God.
And it seems overwhelmingly that it's in affluent areas. And, frankly speaking, very white. Like I looked up Chelsea, almost has like grids of streets, horizontal and parallel.
This is Manhattan.
West Village. And then it stops. It abruptly stops right here at CB9. So my question is, how is this being parted out, right? Like you obviously have some communities that are highly favored where they're getting all the money for this program. How is it being fairly distributed? How are you guys doing these studies?
Well, it's not like that. We don't pick and choose which neighborhoods we put protected bike lanes in. As I mentioned, it's based off street geometry and basically what we can do on a given block. There might be some blocks that might be more eligible for protected bike lanes in certain neighborhoods, but we don't specifically choose those neighborhoods because of who lives there or where they are. Again, if there are locations that you like for DOT to research, I suggest reaching out to the agency. And like I said, we can give you a response one way or the other as far as the information that goes into into bike lanes and any corridors that you might think are eligible or might be warranted where any sort of bike lane, protected or otherwise, might be necessary. But no, we don't go around and specify or pick and choose where we put these bike lanes or whatever types they are, or anything that we do based off of race, affluence, neighborhood. We don't do that.
Okay, one last one, Carolyn.
Thanks,
Please go
Lyle.
ahead.
Okay, Lyle, like, given the death on 155th, and also the fact that the Hudson River Greenway remains shut down in numerous sections, 155th has become a vital link between the East River and Harlem River and the Hudson River. And as such, I would like to formally request that you consider 155th Street as having a protected bike lane. And that there is no need to have sharrows or other kinds of painted lanes because DOT's own research shows that those actually put bikers more at risk. And like I mentioned to CB9 in September, because of those closures of the Greenway, I find myself on 155th and I find myself on Riverside Drive, which is not designed for people to go 25 miles per hour. The lane width there is designed for people to
Send a
go
request
25
to
to 50
DOT.
miles per hour. And I respectfully request that you design a street for 25 miles per hour and give me a safe way to get to work. Get from Uptown to Community Board 9 where I work. Thank you.
Lyle?
I can make a request on your behalf to, again, our bicycle unit for their review and comments, and we'll get back to you.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thank you, Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go to old business? Is it Cherry Walk yours, April?
No, that was Iris.
Yeah, but the Cherry Walk, it did get referred to Parks. Felipe sent it, Felipe sent the request to Parks. Parks looked
That's
into
right,
it.
that goes to Parks. Okay, goes to Parks.
I'll let Chris update us on that, cause I think he wrote Felipe back.
So, you know,
Okay,
we,
all right.
real briefly, so.
Next up.
As of last night, Cherry Walk is scheduled to open within 30 days. If the weather stays as it is, potentially can go to, I think, early March. But it looks like it's gonna open earlier than expected. So it sort of makes the issue of an alternate route moot for the moment. And that's where we are. And that's what we shared with Felipe.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Next up.
We already talked about the 145th Street Task Force. We had last meeting, we brought up issues with the old Grange location. That's the restaurant Patrick's on the Hill. We found out that they did have a temporary retail permit displayed.
Yes, they do.
The
I got the
lawyer,
letter Solomon, I got the letter yesterday. That they do have a
Okay, yeah.
temporary retail. SLA did give them temporary. It's not a full license, but it is a temporary where they can sell alcohol.
yeah. So, if you look in members, if you look in the folder, it's a long PDF of the communication between the lawyer and the district office.
Which folder? I think you shared it earlier.
I shared it earlier. It's it's in the December liquor license app.
They're willing to come back in
Yes, I emailed it.
February.
I did it earlier today, so.
I didn't get anything from you today.
Solomon?
Yeah,
I'm looking
Yeah,
at
they're
it.
willing to
I've
come back
never
in
seen-
February if we want them.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
There we go.
Gretchen,
Yeah, I
if you
found
need
it. There we go.
Okay.
It's in my spam.
Okay, next was, Felipe talked about a proposed bike lane on 155th between Broadway and Edgecombe last month. Because of that, traffic fatality on 155th and St. Nicholas. He mentioned that the district is ranked last. Our district is ranked last in protected bike lanes. So Felipe was gonna draw up a resolution and present it to the committee. I don't know if you're ready for that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You can do that all right, that you can do that in February.
He's ready now.
I'm ready now.
Okay.
Can you allow me to share, April, please?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Oh, nothing. Hold on a second. Okay.
Okay, so I've sent this, hi, everybody, I'm Felipe Castillo. I live on Convent Avenue between 143rd and 144th. I am a new member to this community board. I started in September. Privileged for me to be here and privileged to see all of the audience members today, some that are, new to this meeting. So thank you for your time. Thank you for coming here. So
Let's
this
move on.
is a resolution, which I sent to board members, UST board members last month. Essentially describes that 155th Street between Broadway and Edgecombe Avenue, while on the border of CB9 and CB12, is a corridor that connects two greenways. It connects the Hudson River Greenway and the Harlem River Greenway. It also allows people to go from, Amsterdam to Broadway, Broadway to Amsterdam, so on and so forth. So what I'm proposing here is a short distance of 1,671 feet of taking a look at a protected bike lane. The width of West 155th Street is 60 feet. And I can do another share of what a 60 feet street looks like. So that's so for reference, the top, that's the existing. And while I'm asking for a protected bike lane,
One from where?
I think there's many other options. Like we can request a bus lane, we can, we
No,
can
we got
really,
enough, we got 2 buses.
I hear you, Carolyn. But what I'm trying to say is that,
Oh my
I would like to propose this to our UST committee, see what you say. If you have any comments, any amendments that you'd like to offer. The street geometry is wide. The motor vehicular traffic that is on the street is about 10,000 AADT. So 10,000 is a number that fits on 1 lane each way. It does not need 2 travel lanes. So here, we could do 2 travel lanes and no parking. We can do 1 travel lane and parking. So again, this is flexible, this is an idea. I just want to discuss it with everybody here that's the UST member and the friendly people that came over from the community that live here and are going to be impacted by this.
Not do no
Yeah.
parking on
I think
155th.
April has a comment, go ahead.
I just have a question. Are there any things we should be concerned about with installing a bike lane, like, potentially, I don't know, that affecting traffic or something?
Yeah, so there's a cemetery, it's the northern edge of Trinity Cemetery. Most people, can visit the cemetery. It's still accessible. Like, I think, we should respect that. That's where, a lot of people have a strong connection to the people that are buried there. So, yeah, I think it's very important to think about that. So I think the cemetery is important.
Have we talked to the cemetery, like to Trinity or, I don't know, Church of the Ascension, or are they?
I would like to, yeah. I would love to ask them for their opinion.
Yeah.
Not only that, you have a church, Trinity Church. You have the project, well, the housing project, which is belong to the Masons. Okay, so you cannot put no parking on 155th Street. You cannot have no parking on 155th Street. On the other side of the street is a school. Excuse me?
Yeah.
He's just saying, yeah.
I agree.
Okay. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying because of the 2 buses, you got the VX6 and you got the select bus. Okay. Right. On one side of the street is up and one side is down. On the other side of the street is a school. The other side is the housing project, or whatever you call it. Okay. So you can't have no parking on 155th Street. Going over the Riverside Drive, there's definitely no parking. Because you can't use that block for anything but to come up. So it's a lot to be considered with your result.
Yeah, I understand. I'm asking for a lot.
Well,
we have some comments from the
audience.
Yeah.
3 questions and that's it.
Okay, perfect.
My name
What is Solomon doing? What are you doing, Solomon?
I'm right here.
Right, take 3 questions.
Some community members have questions or comments.
Okay, 3 questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Regan. I actually live on 159th and Broadway, so I live like right close and I bike there all the time.
Nice.
And I just wanted to say that I'm in full support of this completely protected bike lane, especially for me. I feel like as a woman, you can see, especially as you go further and further uptown, there just are not women cyclists. And I feel like all of the women I've talked to in my life, they would bike, they would like to bike, but their first answer is it's dangerous, it's not safe, why would I do that? And so something like this is really important to get people who want to bike onto the streets. And then also, even in regards to having the cemetery, having areas that's not directly next to the cars is safer for people to walk through, walk by, even if they want to go visit their family, things like that. Like protected bike lanes would only encourage people to safely get there.
Things are not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
Next question or comment, anyone? Yeah, go ahead, Gabriel.
Gabriel here. So I think it'd be great if we were able to just, we can keep the parking, because people go crazy over that. But I think reducing the travel lane down would be a great idea because there's gonna be just like if you add a lane, it's gonna be induced demand, there's gonna be reduced demand for cars and increased demand for bike lanes. If you build this infrastructure, people will use it. And this is a key piece of infrastructure as it links the east and the west side. And it is the most efficient way, I think, to get people moving from all the way downtown up.
The people that are not professionals.
Especially since like routes like Amsterdam, which are a safe haven for people, stop and put you in a deadly path across the road and don't have any protected bike lane up there. I think this is a much smaller ask. And once you reduce the amount of travel lanes, people will increase the amount of travel lanes for bikes. You can fit a lot more bikes in a bike lane than you can fit cars in a car lane. And there's no bike traffic.
Last question from Mary, briefly.
No cars are not gonna be
Yes, I just, not a question, just a comment. As someone, who lives in the area, I bike in the area, I walk in the area, I take buses in the area. I've rented cars and driven in the area. I think a protected bike lane on 155th sounds great. I think it would make the street more accessible to everyone. And it would make it safer, whether you're walking, driving, riding a bike, crossing the street. I just think a protected bike lane will help with everyone, as long as, the situation with parking and the buses that are already there. I think there's a solution that can work for all of us.
Thank you. Are we voting on this?
I don't know, I mean, it's up to the community members.
Was there, I'm sorry, your name?
My name is Thomas Proctor.
Mr. Proctor has a comment.
I live in neighboring District 10. I travel District 9 quite often, almost every day. Unfortunately, this is not the first time I've been in a government meeting like this after someone has died. 5 years ago, my brother Charlie was traveling through an intersection with similar street width to 155th Street and on a city street when he was hit by a speeding driver.
You move on.
It was just 2 weeks before his 28th birthday. He had just signed a lease to move in with his girlfriend. And instead, he died in her arms. Another family is feeling the same kind of grief that my family has felt for the past 5 years. I'm impressed that the community board has taken such prompt action to move on 155th Street. By passing this resolution, the board can prompt the same prompt action from DOT. It can prevent other deaths from occurring.
Okay, move on.
And other families from feeling the same grief that I have. I understand that the circumstances specific to this crash are very extreme. But the DOT has the tools to make this street safer. Traffic deaths like this are the most common cause of death other than disease in the United States. And other countries do not have these problems because they've enacted changes to their streets, which DOT has in its toolbox, and can prevent these kinds of deaths even when we have extreme speed like we saw in this crash. And so I hope that the board can vote to pass this resolution that can save some lives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
let's move on.
Thank you for sharing that.
Move on.
Just wanted to remind everyone, the way it works is when there's a resolution or letter of support that comes out of the committee, it goes to executive.
Exactly.
Executive then scrutinizes it. And then they potentially may vote on it to push it towards the general board meeting. At the general board meeting, it then gets presented and then gets voted on by all the community board members that are present. So my recommendation is to get more stakeholder support. Like we talked about Trinity Church, some of the, maybe the businesses and community members that are along that proposed protected bike lane. Because I think that would help, if you get
But
people.
they don't really need that, Solomon.
They don't, but I think it helps give the request some strength.
And that's the first.
Yes, and Ted here.
Yeah.
I think it's also necessary to prove the need for going across from the bridge to Riverside.
Right.
Because there's right after the bridge going west, the ability to go south and north. And is it necessary to deal with a situation that is very complicated at the Amsterdam turn? And I think no matter how you deal with that, it's going to be dangerous. So I would like for the people who are working on this to come up with some workable protections.
Not only that, Ted, they're doing a lot of work on Riverside Drive and 155th going further up. The traffic is always back because they're moving, they're putting lanes in, so it's a very narrow stretch. So that might be problematic in terms of this reso, because like they've been working on this since 19. Each year they say it's almost ending.
Look, it's going to be, Carolyn, that's going to be another 3 years before they're finished with that job.
Yeah, but I get a report every week about it. It's 3 more years before they be finished.
That's not relevant to this, right?
Yeah, so, what are we doing with the?
Okay, so
let's move on.
Accept, yeah.
So you can either, someone can put a motion forward to vote on it, or you can decide to.
Or table it.
To strengthen the reso.
Strengthen it or table it.
I don't know, procedural question. Can the exec board can just kill anything that we put forward, or they can send it back and ask for
They can send it back.
But like, if we want it could, like, is there?
Make the corrections in it before you send it.
No, she's trying to get something.
I don't want to vote.
No,
I
it's okay,
personally-
my
I
voice
could
isn't
just
on.
abstain, but personally, I would like, we
One
are
at
the
a
community,
time.
I'd like to talk to the community.
I will tell you right now that if you're going to try to ram this through, you don't have my vote.
Mine either.
That's abundantly.
Gotta make corrections.
We're not, nobody's trying to ram anything through here.
I would just like to say, absolutely 155th is necessary.
Let's move on.
If you are a cyclist, Harlem River Drive, there's only 2 places to get on it for a cyclist.
Forget about Harlem River Drive. Now, look, we have differences of opinion, obviously, but Harlem River Drive is irrelevant.
That you can ride a bike.
Don't waste our time with Harlem River Drive.
You know what? I will waste everyone's time if it saves one person's life, because it's worth it. And if we were talking about any other public health measure, we wouldn't be finding stakeholders who found it convenient to either sign on or sign off. It is a public health issue, and you are either with making our streets safe for children, or you're against it. Do you like how many deaths?
Oh, come on, grow
Shut
up.
it down.
I think.
Shut it down.
This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Solomon, shut it down.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Move on.
All right,
I understand.
we're ready.
Have all this backwards
Gotta
and
move
forward.
on.
So
We should be
what have we
muting people
decided?
who are talking over other people.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know they're the chair, and I tried to raise a point of order. It's incredibly disrespectful. And not just for board members, but for members of the public who are coming to speak their voices.
So, what are we
We're not
doing?
gonna have this arguing
I'll
backwards
make a
and forwards.
motion to table this resolution. We're gonna seek more stakeholders. I would invite everybody to, read the resolution again. There weren't nobody sent me back any comments from the board, from UST board.
You can send the comments to you, Solomon, and myself.
I welcome written comments. I would welcome written comments over the next 2 months, and I would love to present this again in February. I think there's a lot of support
That's not
for
a
it,
problem,
and I think
Felipe.
it can be approved.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
And thank you for working on
I'll
this.
second that motion.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree.
Thanks, Carolyn.
And any comments that you get, you can send to Solomon or myself. Solomon and I can go through them and, give you the updates of what we got.
Okay, Michael, were you ready to talk about anything new with the motor scooters, e-bikes or scooters?
No, not at this time.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on. All right, I think we're done with old business.
Okay.
Carolyn.
So are we?
Well, actually, I have a question. With regard to old business, there were a couple of liquor licenses that were put off at the last meeting. If you would ask me which ones they were,
I know which
I
ones,
would
Ted.
say I cannot remember, but I do know that we had a couple put off. And it wasn't because I had been imbibing at these illegal liquor licenses, but I will say we need to deal with that information.
Ted, I got the licenses that you're talking about. They were okay from both precincts. I know what you're talking about. I've already signed them. The precinct already agreed to them. They're fine. And I think they're on my
Okay,
list.
well, don't
They're
we
on the
have
list
to,
tonight.
don't we have to vote
They're on the
on?
list tonight. They're on the list.
Oh, okay, very good.
Now, back to this reso, was it tabled or what?
It was tabled.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Okay, let's move on.
That was the last of the old business.
Any new business? None?
Any new business?
Yes.
Gretchen has something for new business. Go ahead.
I would just like to rate, nobody from sanitation is available, correct?
No.
No,
Okay.
they attend youth as district managers meeting
Okay.
instead of this.
Solomon, let us give the complaint to us and we'll give it to you.
They should.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess it's a multi-agency thing, but I think it's eventually gonna fall into sanitation, and my concern is the number of vehicles that are basically permanently parked on Riverside Drive around, if you picture Grant's tomb, is the area. There's, last time I counted, at least 15 mobile residences, I guess you'd call them. Some of them are trailers that aren't even attached to any sort of rig to allow them to move. And people are running generators there, they're tapped into the power lines. And that would also potentially help with the detour and the bike lane up there, because there's a lot of vehicles that just don't move. So I've reported it multiple times. There's a vehicle that's been there since before the pandemic, the Jeep, that's just full of stuff. Yeah, with the Philadelphia plates, and it's just absurd. It doesn't have registration.
Do they move during street sweep?
Nope. No. Occasionally, when there's events up there, occasionally they'll move, and I think that's with the assistance of the NYPD tow trucks will actually move them. So you occasionally find them in different places. Yeah, they have tires that don't move. Like, some of them don't even have a way for them to move. It's just a trailer with no rig attached to it.
Years ago, Gabriel, NYPD used to move them. They stopped that a long time ago. So now it's sanitation. So we'll give it to Miss Prince and let her give it to sanitation. Maybe get that call moved.
Yeah, and just for the people in the room, I happen to be privy to a little bit of information from the NYPD with regard to towing, and they spoke to this earlier about that they can't, if they stop an uninsured motorist or a vehicle without an insurance, they can't do anything with it unless they can take the vehicle away. And it's
Right.
incredibly difficult to get a tow truck in Manhattan ever
Right,
since the Manhattan
exactly.
tow pound closed. And so it's a little bit of a cause and effect. And so the officers are reluctant to take any action against things that require a tow truck because they know it's very unlikely that they'll be able to get a tow truck to show up. So it's frustrating, but it sort of explains the catch-22 that's going on, that you can call
Right.
something in and you don't see immediate action, and that's really
Right.
why that
And
it's
the
very difficult to
unfortunate
tow.
part is that the officers can't do nothing about it. They have to get from their command in order to do it. So that makes it doubly hard. But we'll put it in with Ms. Prince and hopefully we can get it done.
New business can only be brought, by community.
That's it?
Did we go over action items already, the liquor
Yeah,
licenses?
go ahead, Solomon. Go ahead.
Okay, so there are, there's some liquor licenses that.
Could be full.
Yeah, hold on, let me bring it up. Oh, you have it? Okay, thank you. There were 2 new liquor licenses, 2 renewals, and 1 class change. All of the new liquor license applications came out of the 30th precinct. The first one is, Malcon Express. It's 3500 Broadway. So they're applying for a new liquor license. I believe it's a relatively new establishment.
Next to Chicken, right? Yeah. It's right next to Chicken, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, there's the Sweet Bar Lounge Corp, 500 West 145th Street. Which I believe is between.
It's right off the corner of Amsterdam.
Right.
It's that weird thing.
And it's a new place as well, I believe.
No, it's the same thing. He's changed the name and.
Oh, you're talking about sugar,
Sugar,
yeah, sugar.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
I think Malcolm Express is Malcolm.
Yeah, they're chain, right?
Yeah.
So, do we have any issues with Malcolm?
None.
None, okay. Any issues with the newly named Sweet Bar Lounge?
You're talking about the renewal,
No, this is the new licenses.
which is a
There's 2
Salento.
new ones.
Yes,
There's 2 new ones.
Hex and company is not used. It's a corporate change. That's all that is. But they have to submit
X
an
and Co was
application.
last month. X and Co was last month.
Right. But
We're
it's only-
talking about this month, Malcone and Sweet Bar Lounge.
There's no issue with them according to the slam.
Yeah. Okay, I motion to move these forward to exec board.
A second.
Okay. Any objections, just to note it?
No.
Just a point of information.
Yes.
Are we talking about all of them or just the ones that we had just been speaking of?
We're talking about all of them.
All of them, Ted.
That are on the agenda here.
Okay, I will be happy to agree to that.
Okay, thank you, Ted. For renewals, we had Grand Slam Sports Corp, 3540 Broadway, 2nd floor. They're actually a catering place, so it's not like a bar restaurant. They do private catering and events.
It's catering.
Was there anything on the slam?
No,
Alan?
they have no problems at all.
Okay. And then, the second one was Chinelos, 2 Corp, 530 West 136th Street.
What's the name of it?
Chinelos.
Oh, yeah. No
2
problem with that.
Corp, 530 West 136th Street.
Yeah, no problem with that.
That's all, they're both in the 30th precinct,
Right, yeah, it's no problem with that.
and they're both renewals.
Yeah, according to the slam, there's no issues with them.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I motion to adopt or to renew.
Second,
Okay, thank you. And then we had 1 class change, from Cocina Consuelo LLC. This is 130 Hamilton Place, also in the 30th precinct. they're changing, they were doing just beer and cider. They're now going to be doing wine, beer, and cider. That was the class change.
Right, so that's the change, that comes under the heading of a new application.
Okay,
That means sangria, perfect.
all right, so, can I get a motion on that one?
Motion to approve?
Second,
Second.
Okay,
third.
Thank
All
you.
okay, that's it for the license applications, Carolyn.
I move to close.
Second.
Second, Ted.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 8:14 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Let me wish all of
Thank
you a
you.
happy, Merry Christmas to you all and a very happy